Hi, I'm Rachel Gaskin, and you're watching ECITV.
All right, hi, I'm Shane. This is ECITV, and you're watching episode 14.
Woo!
And the noisy guy over there is Gary.
G'day. Hi, everyone.
So let's go straight into it. We've got a bunch of things to talk about today, Gazza.
Yep.
One of the first things that I probably should have mentioned last week, but it just occurred to me this morning that ODI Grips have announced some limited edition Caroline Buchanan themed Ruffian grips. So she's got this theme she's running with. You might have seen them on the fist gloves, which is donuts with sprinkles.
Yep.
So these grips, are, like I said, the Ruffian grips, and they have a donut, which is a little spongy thing that goes on the flange. It's got a donut, an iced donut printed on it, and they got little sprinkles printed on the clamps. So I know they're going to be popular because my daughter saw some and said, I want them on my bike. So they're going to come in a couple of different sizes. What was that, Gary?
They look sweet.
They do look sweet. So they're limited edition. If you want to get your hands on some, you better be quick. I think they're taking pre-orders now.
Very good.
I noticed on BMX News there was an article about USABMX cancelling the 2020 Pro Series. So they'll be running Pro Opens at most of the events right through to the Grands. The quote is, USABMX is out today with news that the 2020 titles will be decided solely by the results at the Grands, with a $25,000 purse for each elite class and $5,000 purse for Vet Pro.
Geez, that's going to make the Grands very attractive, isn't it? Oh.
Well, yeah, providing that people can actually travel to it. So
Yep.
It'll come down to whatever the restrictions are per country. But it'll make for some exciting racing, and thankfully there's always a live stream out of the Grand, so we'll be able to see it if we can be there or not. And that sort of raises a few questions about the Australian National Series too, because there's some borders that are closed to specific areas. We like to get the ECI van out to a lot of the National Series races, and it's very hard to plan with the South Australian border being crossed because that's the final round of our National Series, and it's always a favourite on our schedule. We always make sure we get over there for that one. So fingers crossed we'll be able to race, but right now it's looking a bit dodgy. Hopefully BMX Australia come up with some kind of announcement soon. I noticed that advanced traders who import DK box and tangent products are advertising for a national sales manager across all of their brands. So anyone out there with the skills, we'll provide a link in the description so you can check that one out.
Yep. Perfect.
And I saw a nice bicycle that would look good under you, Gary. BMX International have some S&M COVID cruisers on their way. What do you reckon?
Pretty cool. Due in Australia in September. So we'd love to hear from Scotty up at BMX International to see if he's got any more information on it. Maybe jump on Skype and have a little bit of a talk about it prior to him landing.
It'd be good to catch up with Scotty.
Definitely.
And this week you had a conversation with Andrew from RJP. He's got a big announcement with RJPBMX. What happened?
Yeah, he certainly has. Look, it's not a lot of people would know Andrew from around Australia, but he's a Victorian-based pro shop that's been working very hard to succeed in the trackside sales, trackside vending for the past couple of years. And so I had the opportunity where he called in here and had a bit of a chat about what's happening with RJP over the next couple of months. So I think we might just go straight into the interview. What do you reckon, Shane?
Yeah, press the old play button.
Okay, everyone, I'm here with Andrew Jackson of RJPBMX. Welcome along to ECI BMX TV show.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome along, buddy.
Thank you.
Thought we'd get you in to have a little bit of a chat about the life of BMX and your journey in regards to RJP.
Yeah, with some recent news that some people out there may have heard or may not have heard, and so I thought I'd come in and have a chat about my past 3 years in the journey of RJP and sort of why we did things, why we got into it,
Yep.
and all of that. So I don't know, I just spelt it out and just have a yarn about it as such.
Yeah, no, perfect. And look, thank you very much for coming in and making the effort to come in instead of going over Skype, because as everyone knows, we've been doing most of our interviews and everything over Skype because of the COVID side of things, and restrictions have lifted. And I know that you wanted to come in on more of a personal level to be able to sit down and talk, as opposed to doing it on a camera and on a screen. So I appreciate that quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what, you came over from New Zealand?
Yeah, we've got a history in Melbourne. So
Yep.
I've got 3 daughters and they were all born in Melbourne, but we did spend some time back in New Zealand. Then 4 years ago, the opportunity arose that we ended up back in Melbourne.
Yep.
And so with us being back in Melbourne and just going about our everyday life, then back into BMX, of course, we moved into Sunbury because there's a BMX track.
Yeah,
Because
perfect.
when you're planning to move somewhere, there has to be a BMX track. Yeah, we just sort of started back in the everyday life, busy lifestyle, 2 parents working, small children. I think our oldest was 9 at the time.
Yep.
And so we moved in sort of literally a few hundred metres away from school to account for our lifestyle. We
perfect.
weren't always home. So it's how the RJP thing came about, is that got us to thinking, like, how can we spend more time with our kids? We're both working, we're sending our kids to school by themselves, like, not that you're supposed to. And so the idea for RJP came about as us just wanting to spend more time. So we thought, why not get more involved in the sport that we do anyway?
So you were racing in New Zealand and everything. You've raced for quite a few years. At that stage, had your daughters started racing?
Yeah, absolutely. The daughters had been racing. So the oldest was 9, probably 2 years. My middle daughter had been racing a year or so. The youngest not so much.
Yep.
She was 3.5 when she started on a BMX track, but I don't think she even still goes around a BMX track. She's 9 now, so.
Okay, so then you came up with the concept of starting RJP to spend a bit more time with the kids and to offset, I suppose, the cost of racing a little bit as well, and generate hopefully a little bit of income so you could step back from your working life and specialise a little bit more just in the BMX side of things with the family.
Absolutely.
Okay. And now you unfortunately made the decision that you're going to have to wind down RJP.
It's it ended up with quite the opposite. We learnt a lot. I ended up with working full time at work on a daily basis, as well as working full time on a part time basis, and so the hours and the time spent with family just diminished as time went on. And we tried to implement new ideas, new ways of doing things as we went along the journey, and we just couldn't nail down something that made it sort of easier and spend less time to spend that time with the kids again.
Yep.
And so we ended up having to make the decision it was either 2 ways. You either go full commitment to it, and that's not giving the time back to the family, or we wind it back and spend more time with the family and figure out some other ways to give back to the sport instead.
I must admit, when you started RJP, and obviously we've been a supplier of yours for some time, I did notice in the early days that you're a real go-getter, and if anyone was going to make it work with the pro shop side of things, you were going to make it work because you had that motivation. You were quite methodical in regards to the products you carried and how you would market them and everything like that. And you were travelling a heck of a lot and going to a lot of events and keeping costs down as much as you could. So you definitely, tried 110% to make it work. I did realise that in the early stages, and I was happy to be a part of your journey. It's a bit of a sad moment to hear that you are actually closing RJP down because the industry, the BMX industry, which you've come to the realisation of, is not an industry you're going to make a lot of money out of. It's something that you need to put in a lot of work, and I don't think people realise the amount of work that goes into taking products to an event on a weekly or monthly or whenever basis. The amount of work in preparation and setting up at events and then cleaning all your stock after it because you're out in the elements. People just don't realise the work involved for the small return, really.
Yeah, like you touched on, the event's only part of it. Like you're there for 8 hours in the day doing the actual event, but there's 8 hours before that, there's 8 hours after that.
Yeah.
And that you're fitting it around the family time each side of an event weekend. And then, you said the travel. We did make the decision to travel a lot and to get our name out there because obviously a lot of what we're doing is based around marketing yourself and making sure people know you're there.
Definitely.
And yeah, I said straight away, the time.
Yeah.
The time.
Yeah.
I didn't ever account for the fact of how much time it was actually going to take. It's something we learnt very quickly, and something I said we tried to change a lot, but couldn't figure a way.
And there's a lot of hidden costs in it that people don't realise as well, because it seems like a lot of the organisations, whether it's clubs, state or national type level, have the perception that pro shops or vendors actually make quite a bit of money out of it, and they seem to almost penalise you to the extent of, you know, you want to go to the nationals or something, it's going to cost you $2,000-$3,000 just for a site. You know, I mean, you virtually, you know, you're almost got to make $10,000 worth of sales just to cover your site for being there. Not to mention your travelling and accommodation and everything else associated with that. So it's it does seem like the associations are almost retarding or strangling a lot of the people who want to support the sport. And have you found that?
It's almost the opposite of what they need to be doing. It's sort of, they're charging you and it's costing you. It doesn't matter what event you go to, it's going to cost you something.
Yeah.
So whether it's a small local event, you've got to put up something to help support the club, or you're going to a national level, they're asking for a fairly sizable donation to. I mean, we did Shepparton was the only nationals we did, and that was local to us. And everyone knows I travelled around. I slept in my van. I kept the overheads down. I did as much as I could in that regards. And I mean, that still cost us $5,000 for the week to be there, which means you're straight into $20,000 in turnover to break even. Yes. And it's just not going to happen. Yeah. I mean, you take a few $1,000s off of that bill, and all of a sudden you have made yourself a profit, and it's made it viable, and it's made it easier to actually be there to support the community. Yeah.
And there's so many other costs, like the promotion of RJP. You put together quite a good little family team, and I say family because you do create that atmosphere at the race meetings, that your team members do basically become part of the RJP family. And there's always money associated with that, whether it be soft goods or whether it be, you know, product or helping out with entries or whatever. There's all those added costs to help promote RJP. So you know, there is a lot of money involved in trying to run a trackside vending. You know.
Yeah, I said just the promotional side of having a team, and said we did try to run a family team. And I think we're good at running a family team. That's what we always intend BMX to be. It's a family thing. Yep. But yeah, I mean, I'm set open with figures. It's $5,000 a year commitment to run a team. I mean, it's nothing that you're going to shy away from.
And it's not a massive team. I mean, you're talking about a team of 7 riders.
7 riders plus myself.
So it's not as if you're running 30 riders or something, and you know, $5,000 a year to run a team.
I can only
quite a bit.
I only wonder what your bill at ECI is for the few teams that you're running there.
It's a lot better than what it used to be when we had, I think, about 60 riders at one stage. So and a paid team organizer type thing. So yeah, it was quite big back then, but. Yeah, it is very difficult, and it's a sad day to see you have to announce that you're closing RJP down. But on the good side of things, you will be still around and still racing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just the business side of things that you're closing.
I've been around BMX since '89, so you're never going to see me away from a BMX track. So I said one door closes, and the other opportunities arise, and the other ways of supporting the community will still be there for us. Yeah, we've always have supported the community, our family, so we'll continue to do so.
Look, I thank you so much for giving it a red hot crack, because you really did try your hardest to make it work. I'm sure there's some people you'd like to thank as well, so you want to take the opportunity to...
It's a massive list, but I mean, the family, obviously, without the support of the wife and the kids and that, none of this would have even been possible. Yep. The people that I've met, like the likes of ECI, the support that we got straight away when it was hard to find people to supply us. The people we've met, the team, like we've met so many wonderful people and who we're going to have lifelong friendships with. Yeah, just out of this 3-year period of my BMX life. Yeah,
and I must admit, you when I think the first race meeting I went to and saw you ride, I thought, man, this guy's actually got a fair bit of talent. You can actually throw a bike around the track pretty well.
Oh, the old legs pedal it over all right. If I could get my head around training, I'd go even better, but we'll do what we can do.
So what I'd like to announce at the moment as well is that even though the RJP side of things is closing down, and Andrew will be attending, or racing and competing at a lot of events, we've invited him to join our little elite crew of profile riders of Shane, Sean, and Glenn, and jump on the profile team in Australia. So it's I'm pretty chuffed to have him along, and welcome aboard the profile
Thanks
team.
very much.
And so you'll see him hanging out under the Chase Profile ECI BMX banners and everything at race meetings. So please come up and say hello, and look,
wait.
it'd be lovely if you could thank Andrew for trying to do what he did and supply product to all the riders out there around Victoria and Australia.
And we'll still be supporting at this stage RJPBMX team trackside, so we'll
Yeah.
still have them kicking around at this point in time. So
Fantastic. Again, thank you for making the effort and coming in and seeing us and having a quick chat on ECITV.
thanks for having me.
No worries. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks very much for Andrew for calling in and having a chat. It's a real shame to see that he's having to wind it down, but family do take priority, and he has, like I said during the interview, he is one guy that really has given it a crack and tried hard, but just couldn't make it work. And a lot of people out there in BMX world do perceive that the trackside vendors and online stores and everything make a killing, but it is a real hard battle. And if anyone was going to succeed with it in that sort of format, Andrew would have. But on the good side of it, he does now have more time to spend just racing and enjoying time with his family and racing with the boys on profile racing in Australia here. So welcome him along to the Profile Australia BMX team.
Yeah, it'll be good to have Andrew's skills on the tools all to ourselves.
He's a bit of a gun on the tools as well as on the track.
Yeah, he's been very handy. If you have any problems trackside, to drop in and get fixed and back on your way really quick. But it would also be nice to see him riding a whole lot more, because he really had to back it off to run that pro shop.
Yeah, and just enjoy himself and relax and get back to just enjoying BMX.
Yeah.
Be good to have with him.
So we've continued on with our sponsorship discussion. This week we caught up with Dane Anderson from Dane Designs and spoke specifically about sponsorship. So did you want to press play and we'll let people watch that one? So many different aspects to it. I guess what we're discussing is, firstly, it's not necessary to have a sponsorship to race, and it's almost like someone comes in new to the sport and they're like, oh, how do I get sponsored? And they're more interested in how they get sponsored than how they get better on a BMX bike. And that's always been a concern of mine. And I'm trying to sort of dig down and work out where we went wrong and why this is a cultural thing. And then let people know what sponsorship really is. And the fact that it's not someone appreciates your results, so they'll give you stuff for free. There's a whole lot more to it than that. And there's different levels, of course, like you've got your factory rider and you've got your supported team with Rad Racing. Are there other teams that you sponsor, other individuals?
I look after Steve, like Steve Hewitt. And I wouldn't say, because he's obviously a teammate of mine on the Factory Crisp team, but he's been a very fundamental part of the Dane process, getting parts out there and doing a lot of testing and things like that. So, from the Queensland perspective, he helps out quite a lot. And because we co-sponsor the Crisp team as well, it all kind of goes hand in hand. It's, Australian company with Australian company. It really bolsters that, the brand appeal for Mac, for Crisp, and for the Dane brand. It just makes sense, really.
So to help your business, it's good for cross-promotion in that case then, isn't it?
Yeah. The Rad team were the first team that came on board. I remember Russell had approached me and had a bit of a chat about how things would look, and I was more than happy to have a logo on his jersey. It's really good for free advertising and things like that, and anything they needed, all they'd have to do is give me a call and we'd sort something out. Usually just be a discounted thing, because they're obviously they're not a full factory team, They're just a bunch of people that have put a team together and support riders, which I think is a great idea.
So it's a good grassroots aspect. If someone else was to approach you and say, "Hey, we're setting up a grassroots team as well," what would it take to push you to a point where you think, "Okay, I'll get involved"? Obviously, it's not everyone that approaches you that's going to get some kind of help, because you need something in return, and it comes down to personality and stuff. Russell's very professional with rad racing, the whole lot. The rad racing lounge, I'm not sure what they call it, but the tent setup's probably more impressive than most of the factory team setups. But not everyone's like that, are they?
No, not at all. I think a key factor for me is the person, or the people that we're dealing with. And I'll use Jake as a good example of this. When I was approaching riders to potentially come and jump on board the Dane brand, when a team kind of got put together, you've got to have a certain set of morals, and you've got to be loyal. Now, I'm a loyalty type of person. I just said to Cam the other day, actually, that it's 4 years since I've been on the factory crisp team, which is really, really good. And I remember back with the Ultra team, I was with you guys for 5 years. And that's what I've always been about, is building and establishing relationships and long-lasting relationships, because here we are, 9 years on, and we're having these conversations. Might not ride for the same teams, but, we're still just as good as what we were back in the day. And that's the kind of thing that I look for is, what are these people like? Are they, more focused on their riding, having fun, promoting a brand, and just being genuine good people? Or are they in it for free gear? What can I get for nothing? And that's something that I have come across. It's what can I get for free, as part of this deal.
Do you think there's better ways to promote your brand than having teams and individuals represent it?
There are a multitude of different areas where you could promote your brand. Social media at the moment, it's been the king of brand promoting for a long time, but nothing really does the brand a world of good than having good representatives and ambassadors for your brand, where people can actually go up, look and touch the product, actually speak to the rider. And if the rider's got really, really good personable skills, they're able to engage with the customer or the potential customer. And that sort of helps show them that these guys are actually really, really good at what they do. They've chosen well. They're approachable. We can talk to them. They're not going to sit there and look at us like we don't know what we're talking about. It's just that type of thing that I think if you were to, let's say we go and say if you were to approach one of the top pro riders and go, I really need a bit of help with, choosing a stem or a crank length or something like that. How are they going to respond to that? And that's a question that I ask. It's something that I've seen. And a lot of the time, they don't give that type of attention that the customer wants. It's that one little negative thing that can come out of an interaction like that that completely destroy your brand.
People able to buy the Dane Designs team jersey that I've seen get around a little bit?
Yeah, so we've got the team jersey is actually what I call the supporter jersey. We're doing another run of, I wouldn't say that it's a factory jersey, but for the actual team riders that have the name and number on the back, but excuse me, the actual team jersey itself, or the supporter jersey, will be available for sale. It's made by Ace Race, so to keep in line with that local manufacturing type thing. And oh my god, sorry, today I've just run down as shit at the moment. Yeah, shit. No, it's the supporter jersey will be for sale. It's I've tried doing a bit of a pre-order thing, but I'm a bit funny about that. I'd much prefer just to get some stock up and then people buy it. So that will probably be the way that I go about it. But just at the moment, I need to refine a few extra partnerships that we've made over the last 6 months, chuck their logos on the jersey, and then that supporter jersey will be all finished and ready to go.
So will it be easy to identify someone who's bought the jersey versus one of the team riders or the supporter? Yeah.
So on the back of the jersey, our team riders have got the name and number, just like most factory deal, riders. And the supporter one is just with our partners' logos on the front and the back, with my logo on the front and back sleeves and things like that. So toward the end of the year, I've got another colour scheme that I'm working on at the moment, which is pretty cool. I actually take my my inspiration from Japanese cars. As you know, I love my Japanese cars. So the colour schemes there are really quite cool, and I just try and incorporate that into what the Dane brand is, just for the sheer love of that culture.
Yep.
So the next one will be probably just as nice on the eyes as the current one is.
So you've been on both ends of the whole sponsorship thing. You've sponsored riders, but you've also been a sponsored rider for a while, like you were talking about before. And you've also ridden as an independent. So what changes for you as a rider to be a sponsored rider? Is there a little bit more pressure, like in your results? Does it make you want to train harder? Does it change you at all as a rider?
I think when you're an independent rider, you have a lot to try and prove. Obviously, it's not everybody's goal to be a sponsored rider, and not everybody has the same pathway or the same journey in the sport of BMX. But for me, it was all about getting better and getting to a certain point. I love the sport just as what you love the sport, and I guess when it comes time to me being a 60-year-old man, I want to be able to have a legacy that's left behind. And the way I look at things at the moment, I want my name to be aligned with Crisp come toward my retirement, whenever that's going to be, but also be aligned to my own brand. So, hey, Dane Anderson did this, this, and this. So as an independent rider, it was more about proving yourself on a bike. But once you get to that next step, which, somebody shows a bit of interest, go, this guy's right, he might be a really good brand ambassador for me. It really does make you drive harder. It gives you that motivation to push and push and push. But also the responsibility that comes with it is a lot greater. So you're not just out there riding for yourself. Now you're the face of a brand. For BMX Ultra, I was the face of the brand. So when I'd go overseas, race in America, I was BMX Ultra, and I was there in the moment as BMX Ultra. And the same with Crisp. Everywhere we go now with Crisp and Mac, I'm the face of that brand. It's Steve and I, when we go overseas, we're the face of Crisp and Mac. And that's, a big responsibility, because you've really got to be careful about what you do and how you engage with people, because it can react negatively on the brand.
Awesome. Well, what I might do is cut that off there. This is a topic we could talk about for hours, but I won't bore our audience with too much. So thanks very much for taking the time out and having a chat with us, Dane.
You're welcome.
We'll talk to you soon.
No worries. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much, Dane, for such a informative look at the sponsorship side of things. I find him a very motivational sort of person, and very passionate about what he does. And it's great to have the opportunity to sit down with him and talk like that. Seems like he's up for a chat and would be quite happy to be approached at any stage over any subject. So watch his space. We'll probably talk to Dane quite a bit in the future.
Sounds good. So our favourite part of the day.
Show us your bikes.
Thanks to Answer BMX for presenting it. You forgot that bit.
I did too. Yeah, Answer BMX, show us your bikes. There we go. I think I've got it worked out here.
Oh, that's fancy. I haven't seen that colour combo.
Oh, that is pretty cool, isn't it? I actually hadn't had a look at this bike prior to putting it up on the screen. So this is from Cohen Smith. The local track is Launceston BMX Club in Tasmania. The bike is a Stay Strong V3 Pro XL with Stay Strong tapered forks, twisted carbon rims with Onyx hubs. About the bike, Stay Strong Team Rider. It's my third Stay Strong frame. I outgrew my old frame, so needed a new build. Love the new colours on the V3. Look, it really stands out. It looks like a bit of a mismatch of colours, but it sort of all works. Sometimes you can get a real, mix up of colours, but the orange accents carried through look pretty good. The only thing that sort of stands out, I suppose, a little bit is the red headset spacer or crown on the headset probably doesn't look in place, but everything else is perfect.
So it looks like you got a lot of Stay Strongs going into Tasmania, Gary.
Yeah, he seems fairly popular down there. Yep. No, it's a very supportive state. So yeah, just good looking rig, isn't it? It is a good looking rig. I reckon that headset spacer just need to change that. I don't know why, it just stands out to me. There's no other red on the bike, but yeah, it does look good. It does look good. And whoop, have I jumped too far forward?
That's all right. That's Darren Parker, our new bike.
Oh, there you go.
So,
take it away.
All right. So Darren Parker's shot through a few photos for us. He's from the Wyndham Warriors Club at Hoppers Crossing, Victoria. So his bike is a Redline Carbon Double XL. He uses the Answer carbon dagger forks, and he has Alienation rims with Onyx hubs. So about the bike, I wanted a Redline in the 80s as a kid, and when I got into BMX as a 39-year-old dad, I bought a Flight to get me started in the sport. This is my third Redline and second carbon bike. I like the looks and durability of the carbon frame. It's a very comfortable ride and it fits my big body well. So he said, I love the Answer products. That was a good plug for John. I love the Answer products, including the carbon seat post and Answer flats I train on. So it doesn't look like he's got his flats on there, but a very nice looking bike. I like that sort of grey. I'm not sure if it's a grey-green. Is that just my eyes?
No, I think it is just a grey. I don't think it's a green. I don't think it's a green tinge to it. Looking at the next one, it almost looks chrome. So I think it's just the photo.
Yeah.
Bit of a mess, that one, actually. I don't know why that one's thrown in there, but it's very untidy. But yeah, good looking rig, and very smooth lines and everything for which is what the carbon frames are famous for. And it's great to see the Alienation and Answer products on there, and it's good to recognise the sponsor of the Show Us Your Bike.
Do you think it was a before shot, the muddy shot, and this is the after shot after he's washed it off?
Yeah, hopefully it's not the other way around. This is the before shot. So I'd say most likely, because the tyres look as though they've just been, sort of armour oiled or something. They look very clean. So
it could be the old typical winter job, rinse, ride, repeat.
Okay, the next one is a very impressive looking rig. This is from Jethro Duffy, and local track is a Happy Valley. Hello to everyone out there, and hopefully we can get over to South Australia soon. The bike is a GHP G1 with box carbon XL forks and Bobby-Nos carbon rims with box hubs. About the bike, me and my dad custom built this bike together. That's great to hear that the dad hasn't just taken over, but actually involved the son in it. So yeah, me and my dad custom built this bike together. I chose the GHP frame because I love the shape and look of it. Plus the orange color looks amazing. I love my carbon Bobby-Nos rims the most, as they match the frame so well and just make the bike look awesome. It is a bike full of awesomeness. Additional information, other parts used on the bikes, box carbon handlebars, box brakes, Promax cranks, box grips and stem. Now this is quite interesting too. He also writes that the bike has also won Best Race Bike at Adelaide BMX Show and Shine in 2018 and was also featured on Sugarcane's website in America. So he's got a fair bit of airplay out of this rig, and I'm not surprised because it's quite unique and looks very, very impressive. There's also a photo of him holding, I think, his trophy. Yeah, that's another good shape of the bike. I dare say that's his trophy from Adelaide by the looks of things. Yeah, it looks very proud.
Different depths in those rims. So is there a front and rear specific?
It does look like it. Although in that photo they look very similar. No, the front one's definitely, yeah, it's definitely a front and rear specific. You can see the brake surface on the rear one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, lovely setup and great colour match. Looks very proud.
Just noticed the boss stickers on there. So I think that's Sharon Watson's dad. Hello to the Watsons over in South Australia.
Yeah, I jumped out of sequence here or something. What have I done? There we go. We're coming up now with Mr. Balloon Man.
He can be a bit of a clown sometimes.
He goes to the extremes, doesn't he? Wasn't it a mirror ball one episode?
Yeah, and Sparkle another episode.
So it's good old Paul Knox from Victoria.
He does go all out to make his photos look a little bit different to everybody else.
A bit like his haircut. He likes to stand out. Okay, so his club track is BSX in Australia. So shout out to Shane. And I don't know how I'm going to pronounce this.
I think it's Howrah.
Howrah, is it?
Yeah.
Do they pronounce a H as a W or something over there, or just like there's a silent P in water? I don't know. It's anyway, local track over in New Zealand, and he's from Victoria, from Melbourne, of course. So the bike details is a Chase OS 20 XL with 11 OS 20 7.0 20mm forks, Alienation OS 20 rims, and Profile Elite hubs front and rear. He does love his OS 20s, Paul.
Oh, yeah.
About the bike, although Chase only did a limited run of dedicated OS 20 frames back in 2016, this is a new build. Based on the RSP1, the OS 20 frame was actually ahead of its game with 20mm dropouts. Profile Elite hubs, 20mm conversion kit, Supercross 20 10mm fork adapters, able to transfer wheel from pretty much any frame, no need to change axles. Extra custom touch was crossbar pad with sticker panel. So
one of the chosen few who still ride with a pad on his bike, but I think he likes to bling it out with stickers.
Hey, there's a good close up of the Elite hubs with a 20mm adapter to make it suitable for any frame.
There's his stickers.
Wait, yep. Very good. Okay, moving right along.
All right, so the next one is an international. So this is Tom Gaglion from the Hunterton County. Oh, I can't even talk.
Hunterton County BMX.
Reddington, New Jersey, USA. So the bike is a Redline Proline Pro XL, which looks kind of nice out there. I haven't actually looked at this photo at all. It's grabbing my attention. He's got Speedline carbon forks on there and Redline aluminium wheels. So they look like stock wheels. Redline is a brand I remember from when I was young. They have a long history in BMX and are a trusted brand. Two things I like most about this bike are the colors, and also it's very light. He says it's 20.5 pounds, which is very nice for an aluminium frame. I upgraded the stock forks to carbon and added the seat as well. All else is stock. So I like what he's done with that, and he's just thrown a splash of color there on the seat. So
that just blends it in lovely, like that. I don't know, mint aqua, whatever color it is that's on the frame. Just to put the seat in has just blended the bike together. The other thing I'm curious as is the length of the cranks. They look like, I don't know, 185s or something. They look huge.
Yeah, I think they just look huge, but I don't reckon. Maybe it's just a shorter frame or something.
Yeah, could be. But yeah, such a standout sort of rig with not much concentration on adding colours and everything. You know, it's just all it is a seat to blend in with the stickers on the frame, and it looks trick.
So there's one thing I need to point out to Tom is he needs to get himself a longer brake cable and run it in front of the handlebars.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to get caught up with that cable like that, I don't think.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, a very unusual setup. In actual fact, it'd restrict the movement of the inner cable from the brake lever. So
Yeah, it won't run.
I don't know whether he actually has it like that or whether he's just thrown it together. But yeah, it does look a bit unusual.
So Tom, maybe, I mean, it does look like you like your brake lever down almost directly horizontal, but maybe run that brake cable out the front and take a bit of kink out of it so it runs a bit smoother. Is it just me, or do Americans just love to take photos of their bikes in front of their garage door?
We've had a few, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh, actually, one thing I just needed to bring up is both the Redline riders, Darren and Tom, liked Redline because of its history, and it does have a lot of history, and we don't see a lot of Redlines on the show, so it's good to get some confirmation from both those riders that that's a nice old bike and a trusted brand.
Yeah, definitely. And again, because of that, we should hear from Scotty up at BMX International.
Exactly.
We'll make sure we get him on the show one day.
Hi, Scotty.
Now, one other thing we were going to bring up too, the ECI BMX t-shirts. We've got the ECI BMX hoodies on their way. We'll have them this week, as well as the smaller sizes, so we can catch up on a few prizes out to all the Show Us Your Bike winners. So yeah, there's a grey hoodie coming out, as well as beanies and a couple of other things. So watch this space.
So if you're going to pick a winner, Gazza, who would it be?
Oh, look, I know he's already won a fair bit, but he's got to lean towards the orange rig.
I was thinking that too. He's going to have to add to his trophy cabinet.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, it's so good seeing him standing there with his trophy and everything from Radelaide. It'd be just so much better if he was standing there with an ECI BMX t-shirt on. So I think we're going to have to send one across to him, I think. So yeah, I think it's Jethro for me.
All right. Yep. That looks good to me too.
Yeah. So with that in mind, jump on the website and enter Show Us Your Bike. We've still got a few to catch up on from this week and last week. But yeah, keep them coming, because we love to showcase the bikes around Australia and overseas, because we've actually got a couple of entries. We had that one from New Jersey. We've got another one from the UK and things like that. So we're starting to reach a fair way around the world. So
just remember to fill out the form at ecitv.com.au/bike, B-I-K-E. And some extra sad news today is we heard about 7-year-old Hudson Brown, who is the son of the R from the RAD team, so it's Russell and Dale, and longtime racer Russell Brown. So Hudson's been diagnosed with leukemia. I found out about this last night, and Sean's put a post up on social media. Sean is Russell's wife. He's already had 2 surgeries and has intensive chemotherapy coming up. Did you want to read that?
Yeah, the social media post that Russell's wife has put up is, we don't need anything, but if you do have any spare positive vibes laying around, please send them Hudson's way, or consider making a donation to the Royal Children's Hospital or the Leukemia Foundation to help other kids like Hudson. Now, I do know that BSX is a massive supporter of the Royal Children's Hospital, and everyone's appreciative and supportive of that. So, yeah, if anyone wants to send their love, please do. So a massive shout out from the ECI crew, ECI TV and BMX Ultra. Definitely sending love and good vibes, and I'm sure the whole BMX family is doing the same.
So good luck, Hudson. We're here for you, and hopefully we'll see you very soon.
Fight on, kiddo. And that's probably about it for this week's show.
Yeah, sadly, another show gone by so fast. I don't know how we managed to do it.
Well, unless the guys wouldn't be able to do it, but we're up to the challenge.
Don't forget to subscribe to ECI Imports on YouTube or ECITV BMX on Facebook and Instagram for all the latest and greatest, and maybe not so great when you're looking at me and Gazza, but you get the picture.
Actually, speaking of the picture, another little thing to make sure we get Scotty on this show, is I've got S&M and I've got Redline in the background just to encourage Scotty to move up and, or should I say, step up and jump on Skype and have a bit of a chat with us.
We don't want to resort to blackmail.
Not at all. But pressure's on, Scott. Okay, well, that's probably about it, mate.
All right, that's it for me. Have a great week, Gary, and we'll catch up again next week.
Everyone else out there, stay safe, and I'll catch up with you shortly. Shane, see you, everyone.
Tom Gaggle, Gaggo Lion, Gag. How do you pronounce?
Gaggle, yeah.
Gaglion?
Gaglion.
All right, let's go with that. So, did we just do a synchronized hat?
Yeah, I think we did. We've been doing this too long.
So,
Blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
That's all, folks.
Where am I going to start? Dane's. Sorry, I'm going to have to take a bit of a quick break. Yeah, it's a bit like that. Thanks very much for Jane. Jane.
Okay. Take 5.
Yes.
Bring back.
I think you're going to have to. I can't do it.
No worries. Thanks very much. Well done. That was only 24 minutes, so that's good.
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes of me blubbering.
Getting a bit tongue-tied.
I don't know what it was.
Blah, 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 blah. That's all, folks.
My brain and my mouth wouldn't sync up.
Oh, that's where we work well together, mate.
I knew what I wanted to say.
If you stumble, I can pick it up, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Short and sweet.
Cool bananas.
Just like Sean. Short and sweet.
So sweet.
Okay, mate. Cheers, buddy.